Didn't you go in with a fat lip?
No. Oh,
Well, I'm glad that you made it out unscathed, my dude. I'll call the doctor and tell him to beat you up more next time. Well, hopefully it's all good news. That's what we're looking for.
Oh, I was talking to my friend yesterday. I'm gonna connect her with one of your people. She's looking for an investment property. She's not sure what state, but she wants to have a conversation with somebody in Phoenix. So,
There you go. I gave you Bubba.
yeah,
He's good.
Bubba's the best.
Bubba's the best. And he looks like me too, so there you go.
he does.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
want to talk to him just because his name is Bubba. So,
Bubba. The funny thing is him and my wife grew up very close to each other and didn't even know it. It was kind of funny. All right. Other win celebrations. Christine looks like she's on a train.
I'm in Chicago. We got diverted. Well, we got delayed. Flights got canceled yesterday out of Dallas. So we ended up having to do an overnight in Nashville, and they put us on a different flight going out of Chicago. And then our Chicago flight got delayed out of Chicago. So we're taking the train down to the Sky Deck and making lemonade out of lemons.
Hell yeah. Love that. Go enjoy yourself. So since you're on a train in Chicago, you're released. Get off the call. Situational awareness is a real thing.
Yeah, I have backup. And I'm like 4 more stops from where I need to be anyway.
Okay. All
where
right.
are you going? What are you doing?
She's
That sounds
just
exciting.
Just going to the Sky Deck, that glass like viewing deck in the tower.
really,
Like the
really tall
top.
tower with a glass deck. You can look out, look down, stand on, look straight. It's scary as hell. No, thank you.
Well, eat something good for me. Chicago is a really good foodie destination. So,
Yeah, the wife and I were in Chicago a couple months ago.
yeah, I
Yes, it
remember that.
is. Pizza or something. If we have time. Literally have enough time to get the train, go to the Sky Deck, expedited line, snap, snap, snap pictures, jump back on, go back to the airport.
Good. I love that. I love that. I love cramming in things. The wife and I do the same thing when we're on trips, so we got some delays. Let's go do something. We once drove 3.5 hours from Nashville to Memphis just to go see the Elvis Museum and then race back to the airport.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Talk about stressful. Yeah, they say get to the Nashville airport 2 hours before your flight. We got there 22 minutes before our flight.
We got pre-check and good.
Yeah, we don't. We've got really good luck.
Anything for Elvis?
What's that?
Anything for Elvis.
For my wife. Anything for my wife, and she
Oh, for
loves
your
Elvis.
wife.
So I don't care about Elvis all that much, but it was fun. All right, Sheldon, good to see your face. Love to see you showing up, man. Good stuff. It is Wednesday, full of wins, celebrations. What are the situations, topics, objections, or just scenarios you guys want to work through today to make yourselves better? Use guys. Nobody's got nothing? Fine. Be that way.
I've always got one. You know me.
Well, you're the only one working, it seems like. Jeez. Nobody? You gonna let Jim talk? Jim ran it last week, guys. All right, Jim, what's your thought, question, comment, concern?
All right. Had an opportunity at a listing to buy the listing, or to buy the property. And on paper, it's a good deal. And I was curious what your analyzation process is when deciding to purchase or to list or invest, etc.
Well, that's a great question. The statement, it's a great deal, very relative. Is it a great deal because you can cash flow? Is it a great deal because it's a house in a highly desired neighborhood that's got a lot of upward potential? Is it a great deal because it's a home you want for one of your kids? What do you define as a great deal? The same thing rings true for investors. They're looking for a great deal. What does that mean? My analysis is, what are you looking for, right?
Right.
I'm looking for a house that my sister could potentially rent. My sister can afford around $1,700 a month, maybe 18. I doubt it. She just bought a car. She's saddled herself with a car payment, so it might be a little lower. However, comma, if I'm looking for something that she can rent for 1600 a month, am I going to find cash flow? Am I going to find a house that she's just paying down the equity on? Am I looking for the tax situation? Because I'm going to have to give 20% down on an investment that's not rolling a profit. It's just helping my sister out. Is that a good deal?
Depends on what your goals are.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it's very tough to quantify what a good deal is. So I'll look at it multiple faceted. We want to buy another small house for an Airbnb. As long as the payment's around 1,800 a month, it makes sense to us. But it's got to be in a certain neighborhood. So if we find something that matches what we're looking for in the area we're looking for, and it matches our goals, that's a good deal. So what's your good deal? What's your
So
goals on this one?
yeah, so the goal is long-term hold. I don't I don't really like the flip idea. But I'm not going to look money in the mouth and turn away from it, right?
Right.
So on the surface, it's an elderly lady and her husband and her son living there, and they're looking for cash offers. That's how they reached me. Click on one of those cash offer leads or whatever. They already have cash offers in the 360, 375 range. The ARV on the house, the after rehab value on the house is about 550 based on the comps. 3 to roughly 1,500 square feet, quarter acre lot. Which
Where do you
is
get that from, Jim? The
I'm
after
sorry?
rehab value. Where do you find the after rehab value?
I ran my own comps.
And it's simple. With the ARV here after repair value, after rehab value, is just what houses in the area that are already fixed up are selling for.
Yeah, top of the market.
Yeah, it's definitely an exaggerated number, and you're going to see this all the time as investors. So ARV 550. Well, I want to go look and see exactly what houses in this neighborhood that are tuned up are selling for.
And my ARVs are really conservative. All my numbers are really conservative.
I'd imagine, yeah.
And you're factoring in, how do you determine your cost for renovation?
Yep. So obviously I went to the house, met the owners. And really, our fiduciary duty, right? I'm looking at it like I can make some money here, but our fiduciary duty, I need to share with them how they can make some money there first. And if they don't have the bandwidth to do it, which this client doesn't, share with them, that's something I may be interested in, be able to help them out, etc. Right? So ARV 550, it needs at my cost probably $30,000 to $40,000 worth of rehab. At my client's cost, at a retail cost, it's probably closer to 50, 60. So I tell myself, 30, 40,000, 550 ARV, time, money, effort, and then margins. Well, and then I'm sorry, let me back up. If I'm going to rent it, probably 30, 40. If I'm going to, full rehab, flip this thing, it's probably closer to that 60, 70 range because I got to go all high end stuff, right? If I'm renting it, it doesn't need to be high end. It just needs to be durable. But I'm thinking long-term hold is my first goal. So I'm thinking, just rehab for rent.
So let's look at a marginal basis, right?
Sure.
On ARV, we talk margins. If you guys don't know, margin is also a word for profit. It's the difference between your expense and your equity, your value. 550 as a upper end value, your fixed value, 550. Conservatively, let's do a 35% margin. That means profit built in at 35%.
Not including taxes.
Not including taxes, not including anything, which gives you a before repair value of 357,000. If you're trying to keep a 30% margin, you're not going to buy a lot of properties.
Right.
So you look at, okay, an offer price is typically for an investor is around 35 to 30% off of market because they've got to back in the rehab. Some investors run 5% overall profit, some do 10, some do 13, but you can do that by looking at, okay, what can I buy it for? What's my repair cost? So I'm in it for 360 purchase price. I got to put 40 grand into it. That's 400, easy math, right? That leaves me about $150,000 in room. $150,000 is not a bad payday for buying a house. Now, is it realistic that you're going to get top of the market in a downward trending market? Probably no. So maybe factor in 10% in fees, 10% in holding costs. So there's 20% off of that number. So you're at $120,000 in net profit on a $400,000 deal. I would say that that is a pretty damn good profit. It's right around 30%. When you're looking at these deals, you have to analyze them from twofold. Where am I entering? What are my expenses? And where am I going to exit? If I rent it for 3 to 5 years, I get bonus depreciation, I get my overall depreciation from a business aspect, and I get some debt buy down. I get some the forced depreciation by doing the work. In 5 years, is this going to be a house that somebody wants to live in permanently and buy from me? Or do I want to hold this for 20 years as an investment? What other questions are coming to mind for you guys? Let's get some clarity around. I think this is a great conversation to have because as a real estate professional, you're out there looking at houses and listings and your boots on the ground, probably the first people to look at these deals. That's why wholesalers exist, is they're out there finding these cash buyers or the cash sellers and getting them to you with a $10,000 to $15,000 markup.
And I kind of led with it too, is if this is possible, I gave the first opportunity to the client. Look, if you have 75K laying around, you can possibly get 525, 550, maybe more for this property. Oh, we don't have that kind of money. Okay, great. Fully explaining to them what I'm going to do with it, if that's what I was going to do.
Do you have to, and it may be different for Arizona, but do you guys have different like forms you have to fill out, some kind of disclosures if that's the intention?
We don't have to. There is a form, California Association of Realtors form that I do use. I can't remember the acronyms. I don't use it that often, but basically, confirmation of conversation.
Yeah, you're just disclosing the fact that you're a real estate professional and you have an intent to buy this property. Most investors that go there aren't going to say that. They're not going to protect your clients.
No.
You might pay a little bit more than a traditional institutional investor would. But if it makes sense and you've got the funds, do it.
And you're backing out your percent? Are you also backing out by a broker, or like how are you backing that into it?
Yeah, great question. There's a lien on the property for a PPA on a solar. They have a new roof that they rolled into the tax lien as
Put
well.
the shoes in my backpack. That's all I want.
Oh. Where was I? Oh, liens on the solar and on the roof. So I know those are there. They already said we need to find an investor that can take these over. I think it's 12,000 and 18,000 respectively. And then obviously what makes me more appealing than the other investor coming in at 375 is one, I've already seen the property. They haven't seen it. Two, I can absorb some or most of those costs as well as the closing costs, and I can waive a commission or roll it into my closing costs, right?
Yeah, why would you charge a commission on something you're buying? Hear me when I say this. If you're the buyer's agent and the buyer, don't get paid. It's a personal deal. Otherwise, you're paying tax on your own house. You're paying tax on your own money. Let's say it's a $10,000 compensation. I, the buyer, am paying $10,000 to the buyer's agent, me, to buy this house. Well, the seller's paying it. No, they're not. It's factored into the price.
Right. The buyer brings the money.
Yeah, the buyer brings the money. It's factored into the price. And the government doesn't care that it came out of your pocket to go into your pocket. They're going to tax you 10 grand. So instead, get a $10,000 reduction or a $10,000 seller concession. to help pay for your closing costs. So it's less cash out of pocket. Here's some small tricks that you as a real estate professional can do. Yeah, you're going to have a 5% margin better than the next guy because you don't have to charge compensation. I could sell your
Or
house
fees.
for you and I want to, but I want to buy it too. And here's what I'd buy it for. And this is what I would do with it. If you have net funds, you could do the same thing, and this could be your net profit potential.
A lot of the
people don't
iBuyers
have it.
charge like a 7 to 11% fee. They don't even have representation. It's just a fee. And I know this isn't a sexy conversation. Like, we always talk about real estate and getting clients and converting clients and new lead sources, but all the top performing real estate companies and teams and everything, they're heavily invested in real estate. And I get excited about this because this is the part of the business that I'm trying to dive and learn.
Well, I think it's important, especially because there's a lot of tax breaks now for investors. And I think
Well,
has
yeah,
been.
exactly. And we should also be a consumer of our product.
Yeah, there always has
Yeah.
been. Let me ask you a question. You got to put some cash down. You got cash sitting in the savings account, right? You got money just sitting there, making 0.04% APR. You take that money, $40,000, and you buy a $200,000 house. This is just fast, easy math. You have a mortgage payment of $1,500 a month. With your $40,000 you've invested, $1,500 a month is how much you got to pay, and you rent it out for $1,500 a month. Zero cash flow. Is that a good deal?
No. And the reason why I'm conservative. I use the rule of eights. 8% vacancies, 8% for maintenance, and 8% for management if I need management.
So you're a 24% yield on investments.
Like I said, I'm pretty conservative.
I'm more risk centric. I'm not scared of it. Yeah, it's if I've got someone that's paying my mortgage, that's a good deal. Because what are the 4 ways you make money in real estate?
Equity.
Appreciation, equity, right? We can force appreciation by updates, repairs, upgrades, additions, right? What's the second way?
Cash flow.
Cash flow, right? We don't have cash flow, but zero cash flow is better than negative cash flow. Third way.
Depreciation.
Depreciation, or we also like to call is debt pay down. Someone else is paying down the debt, which then increases your equity. So you have appreciation that naturally does it because of the market, and you have debt buy down, which artificially does it because of the widening gap. And lastly, taxes. If I have a business and it's running my rentals, it's an LLC, it's what they call a pass-through entity. And if I make $100,000 in my income, in my employment, my $100,000 is what I make, and I have a write-off of $12,000 a year for this one rental, now my tax base is only $88,000. Well, let's say I've got 5 of those rentals that each save me $12,000 a year. Now my tax base is only $40,000. I've just saved 30% in taxes. Because we have money that's coming in. We're doing work, we're getting paid. It's a W-2, it's a 1099, whatever. And even if the house that you bought is a net zero, the cash that you put into it is not a loss. You just moved it from a traditional savings account to a savings account that termites like to eat. And you're picking up 3 of the other 4 ways of making money in real estate. Let's hope the market continues to go up. Well, if you hold it long enough, it's going to increase, right? Even in 08, when everything bellied out and crashed, 10 years later, it was back. Well, 10 years is a long time. Okay. What is 10 years of $12,000 a month in tax deferment? It's $120,000 in tax value that you didn't have to pay. And maybe your tax bracket's 20%. That means you saved $24,000 in 10 years. That's $2,400 a year, which is around $200 a month. Would your life be better if you had a bunch of random $200 a month here and here's? It's simple math, but it's got to make sense. Can't make dollars if it don't make sense. So look at deals in that way. Can I rent it out? And here's how you win the rental strategy in a rough market. As long as I can rent my house cheaper than you can rent your house long term, I win. That's why my wife and I kept every one of our houses that we bought that had a less than 3% interest rate.
That's why I don't like the flip model.
No, because you've got, yeah, I can make 10 grand or 20 grand or 50 grand on a flip. Which is great for that year. But now I have income that becomes taxed that I have
Capital
to
gains.
find deferments for. And it's only that 1 year. Now, if you can do multiples in a year, fantastic. Or maybe you take that money, you flip a house that doesn't have long-term rentability to it, and you take the money and go buy an asset like a triplex or a fourplex or hell, even a small apartment complex, a 10-unit place. You take that $100,000 in profit and you put it down on a $500,000 purchase. Now you've gone up in market. You went from your 360 to now you're at 500. And you do the same thing and you take that and you flip it. Now you sell that $500,000 place for 700,000. Now you have $200,000 in equity. And you take that $200,000 and you go buy something that's, you know,
And I hope you're using a 1031 exchange on this.
absolutely. And you're doing that to increase in baby step. If you do this once a year for 5 years, at the end of 5 years, you're buying multi-million-dollar properties. And now you're holding an investment. Like maybe it's 10-unit apartment complex. You have 10 doors, each paying you $1,000 a month, and the mortgage is only $7,000 a month. That's a
And maybe we're not
$3,000
selling it. Maybe we're cash out refinancing and
Exactly.
using
Maybe
the
we're
equity
doing-
on something
Yeah,
else.
maybe we're holding it. Maybe there's enough room in it, like Jim has, that I can rent it for. I can make it a zero cash flow rental, and then pull the money out as an equity. That's my forced appreciation. Go buy another property. Soon enough, I can make my personal tax liability zero. From there, I can take that and I can flip it, and I can start making some positive cash flow. Right? You want some long-term wealth? Figure out what your freedom number is. That's how much money you need to live right now. The lifestyle you want to live, the travel, the expense, the cars, the food, the clothes, whatever you want. If that's $15,000 a month, okay, now go find a way in the next 10 years to find enough assets to pay you $15,000 a month. The difference between rich and wealthy is rich is I have money now, wealth is I have money forever.
Hey Dan, let's back the train up 1 second. I'm a new agent, so I've been this in a year or so, and I don't have 20% to put down on a $500,000 house,
Hey,
but I
Jim,
still have the opportunity to buy this deal.
that's a great deal. I'll partner with you on it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, call someone you know.
Here's the thing, right? If we're going 50-50 on the deal, you found the deal, I'm putting up the cash, you're doing the rehab. We're splitting the profit 50-50. Yeah, Jim only walks away with 40 grand. I walk away with 40 extra grand. I'm happy. Jim's now got $40,000. Maybe Jim can go find another deal that he can buy himself with the 40, or he finds another deal that's a big one, says, hey, Dan, we just did that one deal. Let's do another one. And we go do that deal, and now we make 20,000. It's a smaller part. Now Jim's got $60,000 in profit that he can go buy something else with. Or calls me up, says, hey, Dan, I found another one. I think this is a good idea. What do you think? And then we do it again. He makes another 40. Now Jim's got $100,000. He doesn't need me anymore. Jim's now financing his own. Now, if you don't have an agent that can do that, there are private money lenders out there that will. There are people in this country, in this world, not even this country, that are sitting on huge sums of money that are making 0.4% APR, and they're pissed. So you come to them and say, hey, Uncle Rouch, I have this deal. I need $60,000 in procurement costs and $100,000 in rehab. And for your investment, I'll pay you 12%. So he's giving me 100 grand. I'm giving him back 112 in 90 days. Now I'm not even splitting it 50-50. I'm just giving him terms on the down payment. I kicked myself because when I was 22 years old, around the corner from my house, there was a duplex. Couldn't come up with a word. A duplex. And on the corner, it was my mom's friend, and they were losing it because they couldn't afford to pay for it. $150,000. Now, and then she's like, "Hey, I've talked to the bank. If you guys want to take over the note and pay it current, they will assume it to you for 150 grand. You can buy this." I'm like, that's a lot of money. I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. That house sold 2 years ago for $700,000. And it's zoned commercial now. These are things like, guys, scared money don't make money, but don't be crazy. Go in there and analyze, look at things, make a decision, say, hey, this is a good idea or this isn't a good idea. But this is just stair stepping into your financial freedom. My wife and I both have a house, right? We bought it as our homes to live in, and then we're paying mortgages on them. And we want to buy a house together. So we're like, we're going to pool every dollar and cent we have to buy this next house. So we can sell our 2 houses and make it really easy, but we can also take those houses and rent them out. And now we have some positive cash flow. We're making a couple $100 on each house. Now we buy this other house. Okay, we buy this other house, and the other 2 houses are helping pay for this house, so that the overall payment is roughly the same. Her $1,000, my $1,000, her $500 profit, my $500 in profit, $3,000 mortgage. You factor that in, it's still $1,000 each. We're paying the same for a bigger house in a nicer area. Plus, we have the investments. Plus, we have the write-off. Plus, you have the write-off for the mortgage insurance. You have the write-off of the depreciation. You have the write-off of any business expense related to managing of those properties, which includes my cell phone, my internet, my computer, my drive time, my travel, my gas, my fuel, and all kinds of other things. Did I just sit on a fat stack of cash and go out and buy a bunch of houses? No, it's about one a year that we naturally find. We get a good deal and we buy it, and we find another one. And you know what? That's a good idea. Let's try it. Let's make this one work. And then from there, we just make it happen. We ask favors. Like, I borrowed $20,000 from Nana. I paid her back $24,000. When I go ask her for money again, do you think she's going to say yes? Yeah, because 3 months later, I gave her $4,000 more. Thank you for your cash. Here's some more.
Dan, I'll do it for 3.5.
There you go. Right? But that's the thing, is you're finding a way. The hardest thing about real estate deals is finding them. The money is actually pretty easy, but you got to make sense of it. There are tons and tons of deal analyzers out there that you can pay for, that you can get for free, that are just calculators. Go check them out. Go play with them. If you do a listing on a house that is just dog ugly, don't think, oh, I can't sell this, or this needs to go to an investor. Call one of your friends that you know are looking for an investment. Raise your hand and say, hey, I'm looking for something. What do you got? Because you're going to find out people are out there that want to make deals, and you can say, hey, I want to get into this. I want to get started. Let me find some deals. Can we partner on it? Do you want to own all of a grape or part of a watermelon? Think about it. 100% of a small item is easily beat by 20% of a big item, right? I own this $20,000 condo. Boom, 100% all mine. Okay, well, I'm a 50% owner of this $500,000 condo. Who wins? So, great conversation today, Jim. Thank you for bringing that up. I hope this stirred some of your mental matter, getting that gray space between your ears working. I'd love to see all of you become real estate investors and own multiple properties and have the life that you want to live be paid for by other people.
Oh, we're going to, Dan.
I know you are. I know you are. And I'm going to fucking help push you all the way there. Because that's the thing, guys. Wealth is money forever. My bills, my lifestyle is paid, and I don't have to lift a finger to do it. Passive income, or actually I call it semi-passive, because when you're renting, it's not just passive. You're doing some shit. At first, you're going to be the property manager. Then you're going to scale big enough to have a property manager. Dream big. Big things happen.
The conclusion on that story is I ran my numbers, And I told them, I said, you'll probably get more just by putting a sign in the front yard. Every home sells at the right price, regardless of condition. There's going to be investors that have tighter margins that will probably offer you more money than I can offer you. However, you're going to pay me commission and compensation, et cetera, right? That I said, we could try that first. And if that doesn't work, you don't get the numbers you want, we can go back and revisit my numbers.
Yeah.
But I already know they're going to get probably $40,000 more than what I can offer.
At what cost? Time, expense, stress. But tell them, guys, you can make about 30 grand, 40 grand more. And it's going to take you longer. There's going to be more stress involved with it. But let's just make the deal happen, you and I, and we'll get it done.
Yeah.
I'm okay telling people they can make more and then still selling them the idea that I want to buy it.
Yeah.
That's how it happens. Right? I bought a house this last year, $300,000 house. I bought for 130 grand.
Jeez.
And I told him, guys, you can make a lot more putting it on the market. She's like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm about to lose my house. I don't know. I don't want to move. And what sank the deal for me is they get to rent it back for me for 3 years. And they're like, you're not going to kick us out? No. I was like, you guys can stay here for 3 years. You can rent it out for the 3 years that you want to be here. You're going to pay more in rent because the cost just went up because I've got to assume it all. But terms is what got the deal. It wasn't the dollar amount. It was terms. Maybe these people are like, you know what? We need 60, 90 days transition. That's fine. My offer's 360. I'll give you the 90 days. You don't have to pay $1 in that 90 days. Get yourself taken care of it. Anything you don't want, leave it here. I'll take care of it for you. Oh, you will? Boom. Win. So terms, guys, terms. Not just always price. Christina, have fun in your Sky Deck. Tell James we said hi.
Thank you.
Everyone else,
He's
have a
buying the tickets.
fantastic day. The funny thing is, Jim, in about 2.5 hours, I'm going to go walk a property for an investor that he wants to partner with me on it. So
Let me know if you guys need a third.
yeah, it's a biggins. But the funny thing about this one, this is a contractor that screwed over a client of mine that got sued. And part of the lawsuit is he had to sell his house for restitution. Guess who bought it?
Nice.
The guy he screwed over. It's
Yeah.
pretty poetic. Now, he doesn't know that, and it's definitely on YouTube now, but who cares? But he doesn't know that the guy who bought it is the guy he screwed over because it's all through an LLC that's unnamed and anonymous, which I think is just wax poetic for sure.
That's funny.
All right, my friends, I will see you tomorrow morning, bright and squirrely. Until then, have a fantastic day. Here's your challenge. Go out there and look at some houses and think, you know what, this one's ugly, but could I make it